Good morning and welcome back to the Lemonade Mindset. I am your host, Rebecca Pierce, and it is Tuesday, March the 24th. I'm so happy to be here with you. Even though it seems like everything's gone crazy in the world, it really has not. And I definitely wanted to make sure that today in our conversation, we have that attitude and that mindset of everything will be okay. Because again, we don't want to have the spirit of panic, but rather the spirit of calmness and reflection. And that's what we're talking about today on the Lemonade Mindset. I am so happy to be here with you. I don't know where you are, but where I am, the sun is out. It is shining down on us, and it looks to be yet another beautiful day. And the reason why, or rather one of the reasons why I mention the sun shining is because for me, when I look outside my window, nature is my reminder that life continues, that there is still much work to do, and that we shouldn't give up hope. And so with the coronavirus pandemic happening all over the world, the news is bombarded with what seems like for many doom and gloom and messages of panic and fear. But we here at the Lemonade Mindset are all about looking at the positive and understanding that worrying does not make the day well. Worrying, in fact, is not a healthy place to reside because it does not move us forward. In fact, it keeps us chained to the past and to negativity. And we don't want that because you cannot grow in a dark spot. And so as we look at the sun shining every day when it comes out, that needs to be the signal to us that we can get through this, that life is moving forward and we need to progress as well. So we may be trapped in our homes. Well, not trapped. We don't want to say trapped, but we may be, many are quarantined to their homes, and many of us live in states where they have asked us to stay home. But just because we're home doesn't mean we can't still prosper. And so let's look at some ways in which we can look at the lemons that life has handed us and understand what that really is. So in this week's The Lemonade Mindset newsletter, we talk about that, in fact, when life gives you lemons. And what I argue in that newsletter is that we can look at the lemons in two ways. One, again, as a negative, but also as complacency. And then the other way as a blessing. And how do we know what the differences are? Well, here's how we can understand that. When I say complacency, what I mean is that many of us have become too comfortable in how we are living, in the life that we have. And when you become too comfortable, you are not accepting or embracing the challenges that come your way because you don't want to grow. You're happy where you're at. Now, that is very different from understanding that the lemons life gives you, and understand this even more so. Life is going to give you lemons because that is life's job. Its job is to teach you lessons. And so it has to, quote unquote, turn over the soil every once in a while. And so we can look at what is happening as the turning over of soil, because many of us have been uprooted from our complacency, and we now have to figure out a way to look at life from the other perspective, which is the blessing. The blessing is the lesson. What is the lesson that you are being asked to learn through this experience? See, those lessons is what helps us to grow, as I mentioned earlier. It is those lessons that propel us and move us forward into our purpose, into our gifts, and to our season, whatever that might be for you. So we can look at this situation of the quarantine and being shut in, quote unquote, as an uncomfortable place, as a painful place. But we must switch that and really look at it perhaps as a blessing, because many of us, we have been living our lives on the edge. We are rushing here and there and doing everything for everyone, and we are constantly on the go. And when you're constantly on the go, I've talked about this before, you can't hear messages being sent to you from the divine. So, you go to bed, you have all these prayers, but the next morning, you don't even sit down to even listen to what the response might be that's coming to you, because you hit the ground running. You're running, and you're running all day. You're moving all day. Your brain is going 1,000 miles an hour all day. So when in that time do you get to get the answers to the prayer that you had the night before, or the prayer you had that morning? So we can look at this situation currently as an opportunity to finally have been seated, made to be still, so that you can hear the answer to your prayers. And so that is where your blessings come in, when you understand, I'm being seated, I'm being made to be still, so that I can get the answers. And here's the thing about the divine. I mean, I call him God. You may call him something else. But here's the wonderful thing about God is that when he gives you the answers, he also gives you the solution. So it's not that, you've asked for something and then he gives it to you and then he makes no way for you to achieve that. The provision is always there. The problem is that we as humans always want to see it through human eyes instead of seeing it through spiritual eyes. So there are many who are suggesting that this is also Earth's way of saying, I'm resetting everything. I've put this out here, this virus, and I'm, making everyone, I'm making the Earth replenish itself, heal itself, because we have, whether you're an environmentalist or not, we have done a lot of damage to Mother Earth in terms of air pollution, toxicity in the grounds, and the toxicity on our foods and things like that. And we're not going to go into that whole discussion, but we do. You cannot be so closed in your vision and in your thinking that you don't see the damage that we have, in fact, done to Earth. So there are those who argue that this is the Earth resetting, and perhaps that is true, and because it is in line with what I'm suggesting, which is that we are being made to sit still, because there's absolutely nothing we could do about what is happening in the world. And that's the other perspective that I want to encourage you to look at. The only thing that you have control and power over is your response to things, your response to actions coming at you, to you, or against you. And so, again, I know there are a lot of people who are, they're out of work. They are terrified about how they're going to take care of their families, how they're going to survive. And those are understandable fears. But we have to find a way not to settle and become complacent or join in those fears. We need to sit down in our silence. We need to sit down in our silence. I repeated that. And ask for direction and guidance. There is a lesson here. Ask the universe, ask God, what is the lesson that I am to learn? And how can I move forward in that lesson? So yes, we have reasonable, practical worries, but what I want to encourage you is to not dwell in them. Things will work. And people say that things will work out, but they only work out when you have the attitude and the perception that this is just for the moment. I am calm. I have an opportunity to reconnect with my family. And this time I have an opportunity to reconnect with myself at this time. And I have an opportunity to reconnect to nature and reconnect to my divine spiritual guide, whatever you might call them. So I do believe in the powerful energy of positive thinking. And I, like many of you, am concerned about many things that are happening right now. But negative does not grow with another negative. So we have to counter these worries, these fears, this negative energy with positive, not only positive thinking, but positive actions. So I want to encourage you today to, step out of your worries, flip the script on the negative, speak positive, sit still and listen, and then offer service in any way that you can to others who are in more need than you. Because your blessing is in understanding that you are blessed. And then that gives you the ability to go forth and help others. So this is a wonderful opportunity for neighbor to help neighbor, for us to reconnect to one another. So I just wanted to share that with you today, that, it is all about this week. We wanted to, and the theme of our newsletter was, it's okay. Let's remember and remind ourselves that when life gives you lemons, that doesn't mean that everything is over. Squirt life in the eye with your lemon juice and begin to change the way you think. Flip the script on it. Understand that this is not a time to be afraid, but rather an opportunity to step into your blessing. Okay? So with that, I am so grateful that I had this opportunity to speak with you today on the Lemonade Mindset, brought to you again by RLP Productions. Hey, I mentioned the newsletter. Make sure you subscribe to it. It is free, just like this podcast. We come to you free every Monday or Tuesday to share a positive word to hopefully get you through the week. And again, we're always looking for some tips and strategies that you might have that we can share with our readers and our listeners. So you can send me an email to Rebecca, REBEKAH at rlpproductions.com. Follow us on social media as well. We are on, of course, Twitter at ProductionsRLP and at Rebecca Pierce. We're on LinkedIn at Rebecca Lynn Pierce. And we are on Facebook at Productions RLP, as well as Rebecca L. Pierce, and on Instagram under Rebecca Lynn Pierce. So either way, if you Google me, Rebecca Lynn Pierce, Rebecca Lynn Pierce, or you Google the Lemonade Mindset or RLP Productions, you will find us. And please, share our work, share our message, follow us if you can. And we just want to, again, encourage you and support you during this learning process. Guys, have a fantastic day. Again, be encouraged, and we will talk to you next week.